the ZiiGaat Doscinco. Let's talk about it. This is a loaner IM from a friend from Hi-Fi Guides. He has sent me IMs in the past, and I much appreciate him and anyone else who sends me IMs. Now, the Doscinco is an interesting IM. It is called audiophile tuned, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in another video when I review the ZiiGaat Doscinco. And I've had both of these on my desk for a little while, to the point where I need to return these to the owner, and I want to finally get my thoughts out. Now, I thought originally I would do both of these at the same time, but I found that to be too difficult of a thing. So we're going to do the Doscinco video, and then we're going to do the Doscinco video, and we'll talk a little bit about each one of those at that time. This one is considered to have audiophile tuning. We'll talk a little bit about what that means after we talk about the build quality. Now, this is a 2DD 3BA IM. Sometimes people call these the twins. Now, the build quality of this IEM is very nice. It is a little bit larger than the Magic 1, but it has no real problems. It is kind of translucent. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's slightly translucent rather than completely pitch black. It has a flat 2-pin connection, which is probably my favorite. There is a little lip here on the nozzle, which makes it a lot better for keeping in like ear tips, and I think that's a really nice little feature and a nice add. It is a smaller nozzle. I like it a lot. I have no problems with the nozzle, no problems with the fit. It doesn't really have a little lip or wing on the back, but that's not really a problem. You can tell it's a little bit wider than the Magic 1, but all in all, it's a nice little IEM that fits well, but is slightly on the large size, so do note of that. It has a nice little cable with it. It's nothing too exciting. The chin slider does come kind of loose and kind of falls back and forth very, very easily, which for some might be a problem. It can come in a 3.5 or 4.4, and it's a solid cable, which I have no problems with. Now, the case. This is a nice case. You can buy this case for $10. I really enjoy it. I have no problems with it, and I think this is one of the better parts of these IEMs, is they come with a nice little case. Okay, let's talk about the graph of the ZiiGaat Doscinco. You'll notice we have pretty good channel matching. It has a pretty nice fit to my target with only a few issues. It's kind of interesting. I thought I would like it a lot more than I did, but I kind of have some faults with it and some problems, and I want to talk about these. First of all, we're going to compare this to some IEMs that I've reviewed in the past and I've had and listened to from the same company. First of all, we have the ZiiGaat Doscinco. Now, you'll notice a few things with the Doscinco is that it does have a lot leaner bass. It does have a little bit that peaky kind of JM1 style upper mids. And it's kind of interesting to note that it's a different style of IEM, whereas the Doscinco is a lot more of a U shape. The Doscinco is a little bit more neutral with kind of boosted upper mids. And we'll talk about the Doscinco later, but you know, this is kind of the difference. The audiophile one has a little bit more U-shaped energy and a little bit more bass, which I like. But, you know, it's kind of a funny thing. It's like saying all audiophiles like the same thing. It's like almost trying to say that all men are the same or all women are the same when we're all completely different. It's kind of a funny statement to kind of throw everybody together that this is a tuning for somebody. But I mean, the whole pro versus audiophile space is sort of a strange thing, and there's a lot of similarities to them both, but it's something interesting to note that we'll talk more about later. The next one is the Nuo. Like, the Nuo has pretty good bass and sounds good, but to me kind of has some weird energy. I like the Nuo. It doesn't sound as good as the Doscinco. I think the Doscinco is by far a better IEM, but it's just something to note. There's some similar tuning philosophies with the Doscinco and the Nuo, at least in the bass and kind of up until about 3K. The next thing I want to show you is the Jupiter. The Jupiter and the Doscinco both have really nice bass. I think the bass of the Doscinco is one of its best parts, but I do have to say that the Jupiter sounds a lot better to my ears, and it's by far the better set. I think Jupiter is like my third favorite IEM right now. It's a fantastic set. Like, it's one of the best sets I've heard. But the Doscinco isn't in the same league. There's some interesting things about that IEM that don't really work for me. Another one to talk about is the Sino, and this is one that I fully didn't like. For some reason, it came across similar. I might give it another go someday, but it just sounded like it was overpriced, and it's only really like $50 right now. And that's kind of what my problem is. So this is pretty much all the ZiiGaats that I've listened to. Let's kind of go up the chain and show you a few others that I wanted to. The next one I want to show you is the Supernova. And the Supernova is the better IEM, but they do kind of have that similar upper mids and kind of this U-shaped energy. That can be really fatiguing. And what I would recommend to some of you guys is try some EQ. We're going to talk about EQ here in a bit, but try some EQ and downvote this, put down this 5 to 6K energy and see if you like the sound of that better. I think that's an important thing to note. A/B some songs, one with EQ, one with not, and just try to figure out if that's something that helps you. You can do that with, say, Peace APO. The next one I want to show you is the Da Vinci. For me, the Da Vinci and the Doscinco both have strong bass, but the Da Vinci has this nice dip and kind of follows the target a lot better in the upper mids. I really like the Da Vinci, and the Da Vinci and the Doscinco are right about the same price. They're right about the same driver. They both have a lot of good things going on for them, but I kind of would have to go with the Da Vinci for what I like and what I go with. Now, having said that, neither of their bass is perfect. I really like a little bit more leaner bass with a little bit less sub bass. And so both of them have kind of minor faults with that. And that's just something that I personally don't love. And, I just would like something that's slightly different. The next one I want to show you is the EM10. It's funny, and this is something I wanted to show. There's not that many differences on a graph with the EM10 and the Doscinco, but to me, the EM10, despite it being about $100 more, is by far a better IEM. It fits better. It has a nicer cable, has a nicer package. It has like a super fancy box, better packaged. I feel it has a better sound. And so for $100 more, you can get what I feel is a better IEM. Now, they both kind of have this U-shape, but I think they have a different approach to bass. Like, there's a lot more mid-bass here. You'll also notice there's a little bit higher, like 2 to 3K peak, a little more vocal energy, and then it dips. And I think that plays into a lot of how you're going to listen to music and what you do with things. If you want something that's with good bass, I personally, if you're kind of in this range and you're going to look to maybe do a little bit more, I think even though the EM10 is a little bit more expensive, I think it might be the better IEM, and I personally like it a lot more. Another one to think about that graphs similarly is the Performer 5. I kind of like the Performer 5. It feels a little bit more neutral to me. The Performer 5 feels like a smoother IEM. It doesn't have nearly the bass shuffle of the Doscinco, but it feels smooth. It doesn't have this 8K energy peak, which kind of sounds a little bit harsh. And it just doesn't really have that similar sound quality. To me, I like the Performer 5 better, and it's a lot cheaper. Another thing to look at is like if you really want just a bassy IEM that has way less energy, you can kind of look at something like the Explorer. You'll notice their bass shelves are about the same. In fact, I think the Explorer has debatably better bass. It has a little bit less energy up here. It's a little bit less fatiguing. It's just a little bit more of a relaxed set, and I really like it a great deal. The next thing I want to show you, there's another set to look at, something like the Cadenza 4. It's right around that price range, but it has a lot less energy up here. It has really nice vocals, a little bit leaner shelf. I mean, if you compare it, it's hard to say which one of these is better. But if I had to recommend somebody like an IEM over this, I probably would go with the Cadenza 4 just because I think the upper mids are better and the treble's better, and it just kind of sounds better. It's a little bit more chill. It's a little bit more laid back, but the Cadenza 4 to me is a lot better set. Well, the Doscinco, there's something about it. It just doesn't sound good. and we'll talk more about that in a bit. Another one I'm reviewing pretty much right now is the Dita Project M. I don't know. I like the Doscinco better than the Project M. I did not really like the Project M. It has way too much energy in the upper treble. I think its mids are okay, and it has kind of a lean bass shelf. The Doscinco is a better IEM for that price, but the Project M has some neat qualities. It's kind of one of those IEMs I would recommend to try, and you might like it. But for me and for what I like, I didn't really like the Project M. Another one I wanted to show you guys is the Hydro. And the Hydro's a funny one. Like, it does look like it has a little bit more even of a stronger V, but it does have like kind of a recessed mids. But for me, the Hydro is just a smoother, more chill set. It kind of like does what the Doscinco does, even a little bit better. I like the extra vocal range, and I just think it's an overall more fun set for only like $100. It's like $100. And I think the Hydro is one of those weird sets that really holds its own very, very well. Now, I know that some people are against CCA and KZ, and I respect that. But for me and for my ears, and A being these two, I like the Hydro a bit better. And I think that's just something to note, is that like sometimes a fun V is really what you want. And I feel like the Doscinco doesn't really go to that fun V, and it's just kind of a, I don't know, it just kind of hits this Harman tuning, and its tuning doesn't really work for what I want to listen to. Last thing I wanted to do is show you an EQ, and all you really have to do to upload to my target is just select a few things. This is from Squiglink, and I've uploaded this all for you. You can even EQ your IEMs to other IEMs if you want, but you basically just come under here and then select your equalizer, hit auto EQ, and it has this. You hit export, and this will bring it right out to you, and you can put this, or you can put that straight into PSAPE APO, or you can put that into something like your Coolix 5K, or you can do some manual small adjustments in other programs as you want. EQing this IEM is not really hard, and I found out, you know, when I raised this treble here, when I lowered this upper kind of mid treble, when I reduced the amount of mid bass and raised the sub bass, and just kind of changed some things out, it sounds a lot better. To me, this tuning of this IEM, for whatever reason, doesn't work, and when I EQ'd it, I liked it a lot better. Not to say that every IEM needs to be the same target, but trying a little EQ can help you figure out what is it about this IEM you don't like, and that really helped me figure out that, you know, this region, even this region to a certain extent, were all things that I personally didn't like. So as far as how I rank the Doscinco, I like the Doscinco. I don't think it's a bad IEM, but I think it's wickedly overpriced. I think it has nice bass. I think it has nice tonality. I think it does a few things well, but I think there's something about the tuning itself that doesn't work for me. I think it's not a bad IEM, but I just don't think it's the best value IEM out there. And sometimes when IEMs are this price of this $200 to $300 range, they just kind of don't excite me, and it kind of, maybe it's that disappointment. But right now, I don't really recommend it. So the audiophile tuned IEM might not be for me. Maybe I'm not an audiophile. Maybe I'm just a nerd who likes earphones. Who knows? I like this earphone. I think it's a fine earphone, and I think if you like it, it's, you know, it doesn't show anything bad about you or you're a bad person. I think in some ways this could be considered a great value, but for me and what I like, I think this would be more of a specialist and something that I wouldn't really find myself reaching for. Again, not bad, but at its price to performance ratio, it doesn't really excite me. I don't really find it that resolute. I don't really find the upper treble or mids to be exceptional. I feel like it's just tuning isn't exactly what I want, and it doesn't really work for. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and do expect to see the ZiiGaat Doscinco in about a week. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?